Welcome to the Yarn Parlor. I'm Alison. Today is Tuesday, January 19th. This is episode 1. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as alevitt1, A-L-E-V-I-T-T-1, the number 1. And there will be no show notes for this episode. I'm just trying things out. I'm going to try and put everything on the screen, or at least show you where you can find everything. I live in Tel Aviv, Israel. I've been here for a year and a half. I moved here from Hawaii, and before that I was working in fashion in New York City. I wanted to go over my goals and then jump into whips. So my goals for 2016 are to publish some patterns, to not buy yarn for the whole year. I'm gonna work on that one. We'll see how it goes. I just came up with it yesterday, so it's a new idea. I'm not sure if I'll last. But I was looking around at my yarn and I just have so much, like everybody does, and they always try and get their stash down, but I just got so excited about all of the yarn that I do have and all of the projects that I do want to work on that I was like, why even buy more yarn when I'm so happy with the yarn that I have, and I've got enough for about 7 years worth of straight knitting, so I don't need to buy any more for this year. I bought, almost half of my stash was bought, I think, within the last year, so I went a little bit crazy last year, so this time I need to cut down on buying yarn. However, I do have a new obsession, which is spinning, so that is my one fiber-related thing that I can buy. I'm allowing myself to buy fiber for spinning practicing, just no yarn, because I have about 10 ounces of fiber in my stash, and that's just not enough to last a year for practice. So I can buy fiber, just not yarn. Another goal of mine is I want to spin a fingering weight yarn. Hopefully it's consistent and even, and knit a pair of socks from the fingering weight yarn that I've spun. I have 2 challenge goals, if you will, that I've set up for this year. One is I would like to knit a pair of socks every month. I've picked out 12 skeins. I'm turning it into like a little game instead of the brown paper bag and you pick one for every month. I've written the name of the yarn on a piece of paper and then I pick out one every month. Because last year is when I started knitting socks. I've only knit 2 pairs of socks. I'm on my 3rd pair of socks, which was supposed to be a Christmas present, which I'll show you later because it did not make it for Christmas. I want to knit and learn different toes, different heels. I want to get my sock recipe down for my vanilla sock, what works for me, what needles work for me. So I've got a slew of needle sizes, I've got a slew of different types of needles, and I'm going to find out what works best for me this year and try out all different patterns. Hopefully there won't be too many vanilla socks. I want to actually work on having textured socks, having lace socks, and maybe throw in a pair of knee highs. I don't know. It takes me a while to knit socks. I am no Mina Phillip. I also want to do, my other challenge is called the Deborah Newton Challenge. And the reason behind that, it's my Deborah Newton swatch challenge, because I went to Vogue Knitting Live in Chicago, not the recent one in New York that's going on, or that just passed. I am really jealous of everybody who got to go to Vogue Knitting Live New York. That is the one to go to. However, I was in the States in October, so I went to the one in Chicago. And I took a class by Deborah Newton, and she threw out this challenge to knit a swatch a month from one type of yarn each month, and create this swatch library, doing different stitches, and I found that really interesting, especially as a designer, to have a whole swatch library. I think it'll benefit viewers, because then you get to see, I mean, maybe you'll work with this yarn, maybe you'll see it on the show and you'll enjoy it and go out and buy it, but you'll be able to see it firsthand in different stitches and see how it knits up before possibly buying it. So it's almost like a review, I guess, every month of a different type of yarn. But it's more to help me with designing and seeing how different yarns knit up. So I've also got my 12 skeins for that challenge picked out, and it's almost the same as the sock yarn. I'll pick a little piece of paper every month with the type of yarn written on it, and I'll do 3 swatches, 2 textured or a lace or cable, and there'll always be a stockinette. I'd like to do 3, but I also want them to be big, so maybe it'll only be 2 large swatches, but we'll see how it goes. Something new and different. So my yarns for this month, for the swatch challenge, it's the Scopal, I think is how it's pronounced. It's linen loose. It is 70 virgin wool, 30 linen. Those little white flecks are the linen. It's really spongy. And the cool thing about, let me go through everything. It's color 9093. And I did the content. So it's felted wool with bits of linen in it, and which makes it really spongy, but with the linen it makes it have a really dry hand feel. The cool part about this is that I was reading, because I've never worked with this yarn. I haven't worked with any of the yarns that I'm doing for my swatch challenge. I looked on Ravelry to see what other people had done with this yarn and to see their comments on it. And they, with blocking, even though it's got a really dry, kind of crisp hand feel, with blocking they said it drapes amazing because of the linen. It's going to soften up the yarn and really drape nicely. And I'm sure over wear it will as well soften up and not be so crispy. But I think it's really cool that it's felted, and so I've started knitting my stockinette swatch. And on Haya needles, US 5, 3.75 millimeter. And I think it's really cool because a lot of people, when they talk about yarn, they talk about the sponginess of it, or the squishiness of it, excuse me. This one is more of like a spongy feel. I don't know if that makes sense, but it just has a different type of squish to it. It doesn't bounce back right away. It kind of like, I don't know. I really like it though. I enjoy knitting with it. However, the crispness and it being winter and the air is dry, my tension finger, I have tension on my pinky, my tension finger kind of gets that rough irritation from the yarn sliding through. So it definitely is a crisper yarn to knit with. But I'm enjoying it so far, and we'll see how the texture swatches come out. I mean, I think they're going to be amazing. I've knit the side in a seed stitch, so you can see a bit of that texture. It's going to really pop, I think. My sock challenge for this month, I am using Mountain Girl yarns. The colorway is Calvin and Hobbes. It's a 75-25 superwash BFL nylon. It's got peaches and greens and pops of blue, and it's lighter colors. That's showing up pretty correct. There's 464 yards. It's a 4-ply yarn. And I found her on Etsy. Amazing yarns. You should definitely check her out. I looked at her store a couple weeks ago and she was still on vacation, but I don't know, maybe she's up now. Is that showing up? I thought this goat was so cute. She's got such a cute brand. Her branding is amazing. I also have, do I have it down here? Maybe. She sent out this cute little thank you card with it. And I mean, her packaging was incredible. She threw in a tea and some little candy. You almost don't want to, it's like a present. You really just bought a present for yourself because it's wrapped so nicely. It's one of those that you don't want to take apart and disrupt and disturb. It's so beautiful. I think I took a picture of it actually when I first got it because I was like, it's so pretty. Somebody sent me a present. No, I bought it for myself. Okay, so the socks I'm knitting are Minnesota Moonlight. Minnesota Moonlight by Kat Bordy. And I've only started one. I just started the toe on it. And I'm using US Zeros 2mm. Normally, I'll use a 1. The 2 socks that I've knit, I'll use a size 1 needle, which is 2.25. Yeah. These are Carbons, DPNs. I'm on the fence with Carbons. Now, I understand why people like them for the gripping because it keeps your stitches on the needle. But I don't actually like working with a grippy needle. But doing socks like this, I can completely understand why you want a grippy needle because you don't want your tiny stitches to fall off. So that's why I'm on the fence. I don't normally like this grip, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how these socks go. I am doing the size medium, which is 66 stitches. I'm trying the 0 because I feel like this yarn is a little bit thinner than, it's like a light fingering in my opinion, in my professional opinion. So I wanted to go down a little bit and I wanted to, plus the sizing, I felt like I was in between socks, so if I went down in needle size, it might make it a little bit tighter. And I've tried on the little bit that I've knit and it seems to be working fine. So we'll see how that goes. What else? Oh, and the reason that I'm using this pattern is because Kat has come up with a heel variation. It's called Kat's Sweet Tomato Heel. And I've never tried a round toe before. So I think you can kind of see it. I messed up at the very, don't look at that. So I'm trying out a different toe and a different heel in this pattern. And it's got a lace portion on the ankle, on the leg part of it. So I think it's going to be something new and exciting for me because it's a new heel and a new toe. So I'm going to get to learn those. And hopefully I can enter them into the Sockathon Cal that's held by Mina from Knitting Expat and Marsha from Very Little Podcast. I hope I can get them done in time. So those are my socks for January. Now moving on to FOs. I've got one FO that I finished about a week ago, so I'm going to show it. Well, it's not quite finished, but you'll get the gist. I just have to block it and cut the ends. but it is my Flax Light from Tin Can Knits. It's a stockinette body with a garter along the sleeve. I knit this from 100% cashmere that I got from Color Mart, and they come on cones. Color Mart, I think it's colormart2.uk.co. Maybe I'll put it down somewhere. But they buy remainder luxury yarns, mostly cashmere and silk, from mills, and sell them. It's usually 150 grams, which is what this cone was. It is 3/26 is the yarn size, and it's called mid-gray. I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot, if you will, on what they have and what they're selling. But this yarn is right directly from the mill. So it's still, like, this doesn't look like fluffy, soft cashmere. It still has the grease on it. It's, I washed it beforehand. You don't have to. You can obviously knit with it and then wash it after. But I bought this to knit on my machine. And then it just sat in my closet and sat in my closet. And I was like, I need to do something with this yarn. I need to get rid of it. I need to use it. So I washed it, and it becomes much fluffier. I just did a wool wash, delicate wool wash, which is like a 30-minute wash, and I threw it in the dryer for a little bit, but I don't know if that's really what you're supposed to do. I did like half dryer, half air dry. And this is what happens when you put it in the washing machine for like a bed linens wash. I completely felted this one. It's like, I have to pull it apart. Still going to use this yarn. I am determined. But you can see the differences between all of the fluffiness and the original. But it knits up beautifully, and I held 2 strands together because that is definitely lighter than a fingering weight. So with 2 strands together, it created a really nice spongy fabric. I did 2 modifications. I shaped the front neck. I added in some wrap turn shaping so that I could get a front neck drop, because I don't like when things are too high on the neck and strangly. And I added a center back seam. I did not knit this in the round. Did the sleeves in the round, which is what it's called for, but I don't remember why I did this. I wanted to add a little design detail. It's a little bit too thick for a baby. I think if I were to knit this for myself, which I would definitely consider, it was a great pattern, I would still add the center back seam, but for a baby, it's a little bit too thick, maybe. I'm not sure. But my thought process that adding this center back seam would be okay is that babies are usually sleeping on their chests or being held, so I didn't think that it would necessarily irritate them. This is kind of a good idea, because if you can't get it over your head, the baby's head, I can take out part of the seaming and add a couple buttons back here. I don't know anything about children's head size, but I've heard that they're really large. I'm hoping it'll stretch enough to get over the head, but we shall see. Anyway, that's almost done. I knit this on the needles that it was called for. It was US 2s for the trim and US 5 for the body. And that is that on this one. Oh, and I knit the newborn size. It's cute. Little block, lovely. My first whip. So I've decided for the month of January that I am going to try and finish whips that were left over from last year. I think a lot of people try and finish up their whips in December. I'm gonna do it in January. A little bit slow, but that's fine. So this one is being held in my Fawn and the Fox bag, little pomegranates on it. And I have a couple of her bags. It's Laura from the Fawn Knits podcast. She has an amazing Etsy shop. Does it have it on here? There's her card. And she does wonderful project bags. The garment that's in the project bag is a tank pattern of my own. This, I hope, will be the first published pattern. I'm working on the back panel right now. It's just a stockinette with a rib bottom, and then I'm doing a knit-in garter trim around the neckline and armhole. It's a racer back tank shape, so it gets like really skinny in the back. Here is the front panel. And the reason this looks so funny is because I'm doing shifted seams. So they won't be at the sides. It'll be one in the front and one towards the back, but in like a princess placement. The yarn I'm using is Habu. It is 100% silk. It's like a tan and cream with a black thread wrapped around it. It's 100% silk. The item number is N84 and there's 176 yards. I'm using my Chowgu US 7 needles, which is a 4.5 millimeter, and I hopefully will have that finished for next episode. I just have a little bit more of the body and then knitting the back panel, the top strap parts. Hope I can get that done. Next is my doodler, which I am determined to finish, although I was extremely behind on this one. But I'm keeping this in one of my bags. It's a prototype, but minor changes need to be made. And I'm in the middle of a row because I wanted to, so I'm on clue 3. And I wanted to try and finish, I'm on the first wedge and I have that one last row, but it's the row that has the feather and fan type of stitch, and I just couldn't focus on it to get it done. So I'm in the middle of a row. Here is my doodler. I like the blue and I like my color A, but I'm not sure about my third color, the orange. I don't know. I'm not in love with it. I feel like a darker color, like the pink or a rust would go better. I don't know. I don't know if I should rip out. I've asked myself like a dozen times if I really like it, so I probably won't love it if I'm asking myself that many times. I might either just finish this wedge and just do the rest of clue 3 in a different color, or I'll rip back and pick up those like 300 stitches along that edge. We'll see. But I would like to get this done in January. It's It's beautiful. I love Stephen West Designs. He's an amazing knitter, designer. He's got really fun style. And I love bright colors. I love neon. I love having accessories in bright colors. They're so much fun. But I don't know about my color choices. So the yarn I used for color A is Hedgehog Fibers. Why is this all messed up? Hedgehog Fibers sock yarn in the Genie colorway. It's 90 superwash merino, 10 nylon. I love Hedgehog Fibers. I have a lot of Hedgehog Fibers yarns, so you will be seeing a lot of Hedgehog Fibers on this show. I'm a little bit obsessed. I went a little bit crazy last year, what can I say? It'll get knit sometime. My color B2, how are they done? Is the blue is Gazelle baby wool. It's 40 merino, 40 acrylic, 20 nylon. Color 822. 822? Is that it? Okay. Plain solid blue. It works. And then the last one is Madeline Tosh. What is this? Tosh Merino Light Neon Peach. 100% superwash. I think it's just too bright. I thought those words would never come out of my mouth, but I just think it's too bright for it. I don't know. I'm really distraught over this. My poor yarn color choices. I am knitting this on Haya Sharps, my interchangeables, US 4, 3.5 millimeter. I think that's what the pattern called for anyway. So we shall see next time if I've decided to bite the bullet and just change my yarn color. Be a little bit happier with that one. My third whip is my Duck Dynasty Christmas socks for my father. Can't believe I'm still working on these. I tried so hard. I was just there in December. I was back home and I was trying so hard to finish them. And I finished one and then I just couldn't get the second one. So here is my one, don't mind the strings, finished sock. The yarn is Noma Acres. It's their doppelganger yarn. What is the color name? Rabbit Season, Duck Season with the caution orange doppelganger. I'm not doing any particular pattern with these. It's just a plain vanilla sock with stripes, but I did a 1x1 twisted rib cast on, cuff down. I did this stripe. I like the stripe, but it should have been like 5 rows higher. It looked too short. I was eyeballing, and when I started knitting, I was like, no, it's too close to the cuff. I'm gonna add another 5 rows. And then as soon as I continued on, I was like, it's too low. Whatever. Then I did a slip stitch, what is this called? Heel? And contrast toe and heel, and the stripe in the caution orange. I cast it on 80 stitches because I wasn't quite sure, and then it fits okay. He's just gonna use them for like at nighttime house socks type of thing, so it's fine for what it is, but then I did decrease to 72 stitches for the foot part. I don't know if I would have cast on 72 though, because he has large calves, so I think the 80 stitches fits him fine in the calf area, and 72 is fine for his foot. I hope. I am on the second one, obviously, and I just have a little bit left. but they'll get done soon. Then it'll take them 2 weeks to send them to them, because that's how long it takes to send from Israel to the States. So on the second one, I got smarter with my striping, and I held the yarn up the side, as you can see. Not all of this stringy floatiness that I'm going to have to weave in at the end. I don't know what I was thinking. I clearly wasn't when I knit this first sock. But that's fine. It's fine. They're not too different. So those are my 3 whips that I want to, well, including my socks for my monthly challenge. I've got 4 whips that I'm working on. And hopefully I'll get a lot of that done for next episode. I just learned how to spin yarn this Christmas. Super excited. A friend and I decided to swap one spindle and one braid or fiber related thing, battling, whatever you want to call it, for our Christmas presents so that we could learn how to spin yarn. So she gave me this spindle, which is from Wool Tree Mills. Can you see that? Okay. Amazing spindle. I love this spindle. I have nothing bad to say about the spindle. It's a top and bottom whirl. It's got the hook on both ends. It's got the notch and everything that should come with it. I've been practicing. Oh, let me first say that I took the Craftsy class from Fluff to Stuff, and I really recommend that class. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. We had no idea about pre-drafting or anything, so I've got this honkin' braid that I'm trying to draft from, and so my yarn is coming out like this big. It was a mess. My first time was a mess. I feel like everybody's first time is a mess. But I've gotten a bit better with my consistency, and I like what I'm producing now. I mean, it's all like, okay, 4 weeks. I've been spinning for 4 weeks. So, but I'm having a lot of fun with spinning. Another place I went to for learning materials is the Knitting Broomstick. She had posted about, or the Knitting Broomstick podcast. She had posted about how she has a thread in her Ravelry group called Spinning, 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 which is moderated by Sheepy Lumos, who also has a group called Blaine Fleece and Fiber. Her thread, though, in the Knitting Broomstick is incredible. She made videos about spinning, beginner spinning stuff, drafting, working with colored fibers, how to break them off into sections to get what you want out of the fiber, spinning. She's posted so many beginner videos in the Spinning, Spinning, Spinning thread that if you are a beginner spinner, you should really check it out. I mean, you should check them out anyway, because there are some really fun, like, horizontal drafting videos in there. It was a really good resource for me for learning how to spin. Okay, so what I've been spinning is, this is from Hobbledehoy, and this is a complete one. Well, it's a complete, what does she call them, batlings? Yeah. This was actually the sample one that she threw in, which was very sweet of her. I love her fibers. I definitely recommend getting them. I can't say enough good things about these fibers. It's so soft. And obviously that has to do with the actual fiber, but I love it. She does an amazing job with her batlings. They're so squishy. Okay, I'm getting caught up. I just want to show you all the things. So this I'm happy with. It's not super consistent, but I don't mind it because it's consistent enough. And it's yarn. I made yarn. That's awesome. I'm so proud of myself. The beautiful colors of moss and lavender, and then you've got like the dark teals and purples and everything. They're beautiful colors. One is a little bit, like I said, it was the little sampler that she threw in. It's a little bit lighter than what I actually got, which I will show you in a second. Well, this is one of the ones that came in the colorway that I bought. There is her card, and here are the batlings, and they are Polworth, bamboo, soy silk, and sparkle, and they are incredible. They're so soft, and the colors are amazing, and you don't even have to really pre-draft with these. I love them. They're so soft. And that's really why I got into wanting to spin. I mean, beside the fact that a lot of other people were into it, and I was like, well, if they enjoy it, maybe I'll enjoy it. But the real reason is when you see fiber in these podcasts, it's just so squishy, and you just want to squish it. And the colors are incredible from all of these indie dyers. And so I had to learn. So I'm really excited about this. I'm going to continue learning how to spin, and I already want to get like a ladybug or something, I'm not sure. But I'm very happy with drop spindling for now. I still have a lot to learn, but I'm enjoying myself. The other yarn that I have spun up is from some poonies from Initiatives. There is her information. These are both found on Etsy. Can you see that? Her Etsy? Okay. This one is called Life in the 80s, I believe. Yes, Life in the 80s is the colorway. It is Superwash BFL and BFL. And this is a 2-ply. I think my 2-ply is a little bit loose. These are not washed yet either. I didn't set these ones, but I think it's kind of loose. I don't know. I don't get that barber pulley twist. I don't think it's correct. So I have some more learning and reading to do. Here is my tiny sample of my first attempt at chain ply. Because it has that color progression. So I think it came out really cool. Can't really see it. There. Fun, bright colors. And here is my second attempt at a Navajo chain ply, whichever. Because this also had the different color progression. At least that's how I did it when I was spinning it. These are all from the same set of poonies, which I totally thought was pronounced punis. And then I was watching the Naughty Gnome podcast with Sarah, and she had just made some. It wasn't her last episode, it was like second to last. She had made some, and thank gosh I was watching before I filmed this, because she's like, I made some poonies, and then I spun them. And I was like, totally thought that was pronounced punis. So, probably shouldn't say this, but that was my bad, and I'm learning all the time. Pronunciation and all. So that's it for episode 1 of the Yarn Parlor. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe or leave comments and questions down below, or contact me on Instagram or Ravelry as A Levitt1. You can find me there as A Levitt1. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you again for episode 2. It's gonna be exciting. Thank you. Bye.